Welcome, everyone, to today's session on how to manage your finances, making your income last when you can't work, led by Rick Fingerman. This program is hosted by the Blum Resource Center. Over at the Blum, we are grateful to Rick for this continued partnership. The recording of this session will be posted on our Blum YouTube playlist in our Blum Digital Resource Center. For those of you watching live, if you have any questions related to today's program, please feel free to utilize the chat feature throughout the session. At the end of the session, your questions in the chat will be used to moderate our question and answer. If you have any other questions or would like more information about resources and programs offered through the Blum, please visit our website at www.dana-farber.org/resource center or email us at blum_center@dfci.harvard.edu. Thank you all for joining us. I will now pass the workshop over to you, Rick.
Thanks, Sierra. So welcome everyone to another in a series of how to manage finances during cancer treatment. Today's is called How to Manage Finances, Making Your Income Last When You Can't Work. And we talk to a lot of patients that are just unable to work, usually for a period of time. And sometimes it's challenging because the bills keep coming, but the income is not there. So a little bit about just the program. The Dana-Farber Pro Bono Financial Coaching Program was established back in 2008 to help patients that were struggling a little bit financially that were in treatment. And it was the brainchild of a trustee of Dana-Farber who reached out to the Financial Planning Association of New England. That's me. I think I was either president or past president at the time, but this was back in 2011. We won a little check there for $5,000. We donated that to the Patient Assistance Fund. And that's just really a fund that if you meet the eligibility requirements, you get a stipend each year to help pay for anything from parking to groceries to whatever you need. I'm the guy in the middle there with the little trophy. And any money that we have won in these awards, we donate to that Patient Assistance Fund. So this back in 2008, we started this. We're over 700 families that we've helped to date. And help with anything from debt management to estate planning if someone needs a will or a trust, someone's going through bankruptcy or other challenges, all at no cost to you. So if this is something that after hearing the program that seems like, hey, I might need some help here, reach out to your social worker or resource specialist. Or on the last slide, there's my contact info. You can reach out to me and we'll get you connected with a financial coach and help you out. Just a quick disclaimer, this webinar is strictly educational. It's not meant to be tax or legal or investment advice. But if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box. Or if you're watching this later on, feel free to reach out to me at that last slide with any questions. And I can connect you and help you on a personal level. So the first slide talks about how a diagnosis really changes everything. Because once you're diagnosed and in treatment, your income potentially could stop or slow down, but the bills just keep coming in, and it can be very overwhelming, to say the least. So you're not alone. There are resources that are available that we can help you with. So again, if any of this makes sense to you or you can resonate with, just feel free to reach out. Mary, this is not her real name. Someone I spoke to a few years back, she had to stop working during treatment, and she didn't think she had any financial options. She didn't really have much in savings. She was a single person. It was really a difficult time. But after speaking with her resource specialist and we connected her with the pro bono program, she got a coach. We got her on some disability benefits starting. We helped with some medication assistance. And she was traveling a bit away to get treatment in Boston. So we helped with some travel costs through a nonprofit grant. So again, there are options available if we just kind of know where to look. So today we're just going to talk about a few things. One is, understanding your current situation. That's the first step. We have to really, know where we're starting from. Like if you're taking a trip, you know where you're starting from and where you're going. And this is really not any different. It's just really a journey of getting you from here, through and off to the other side. So you can just be able to, hopefully keep your bills going and pay those. And if your income is stopped or slowed down, some options maybe to make that a little bit better. So we're going to look at some options if you can't work. We want to see if we can maybe stretch some resources that might be out there. There are programs, like I mentioned, that could help. And we also want to look at your financial future and protect that. Some people think, well, I'll just, cash out my IRA or my 401k because I need money. And that might not be a good place to go. You don't really want to make any changes like that without speaking with a financial professional first. So we are here to help answer any of those types of questions. So again, the first step is taking that inventory. We want to find out like what's coming in and what's going out. So you might have monthly income from work. Maybe it's dropped down to part-time. Maybe you've got some unemployment income coming in. There's some other options we'll talk about. But those expenses are kind of in two categories. We've got these fixed expenses like rent, or utilities and insurance. And then we've got these more flexible ones that might be things like subscription services or, eating out, things like that. So we want to kind of get a good handle on what's coming in and what's going out. We also want to take a look at what we have for savings or emergency funds to have kind of that category, and then look at our insurance benefits to make sure that we're covered there, and then get kind of a list of any kind of debt obligations we have. That might be credit cards, could be student loans, could be auto loans, could be mortgages. So we need to get a good handle on all this. And I find having like a one pager really, has helped clients because they just look at it and go, "Oh, here's a snapshot of where I am and what I have and what my expenses are." So again, we want to focus on those basic things first of expenses. Again, housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, medical care. And I wouldn't really worry so much about like what your net worth is. Your net worth is just basically what you own versus what you owe. And that difference is your net worth. And people like to have a big net worth because it sounds good, but we really want to, kind of maximize that cash flow. More money coming in than going out, ideally. So now some options if you can't work. If you're out of work and you just can't work, if you have a job, you might be able to get on the PFML, which is just this, family leave. It pays up to 20 weeks for you personally. And that, if you look at that asterisk in 2026, it's 1230 a month. I mean, a week rather. So it's something. It's not nothing. And there's also, unemployment if you're let go, for an example, and you're just not going to go back to work. Most jobs have short or long-term disability available that usually gets paid out of your paycheck. Sometimes it's covered, usually it's not. But if you have short-term or long-term disability, that's something that's really good to know because then you can have income coming in. It doesn't fully replace your salary. Generally, it's about 60% of your salary on long-term disability, how much you would get in income. And then last but not least is Social Security Disability, or SSDI. That's something you have to apply for through the Social Security Administration. And generally, people are not, taken the first time. They're rejected the first time they apply. So it might take more than once. But if that's something that you feel like you want to go down that road, we have a great resource on our team. He's worked for the Social Security Administration for like 40 years, this guy. Been a huge, huge friend of this program in Dana-Farber. And he can kind of not guarantee that you can get disability insurance, but kind of lead you through the program and answer any questions you might have. So that's really good. If you do have savings, you want to use those wisely because again, if you take money out of a retirement account, it does a couple of things. One is it's taxable. It's this last bullet point. And sometimes there's a 10% penalty. There are exemptions if it's taken out for medical reasons. But for the most part, you want to that's a last resort. You don't really want to touch that. You might have a HSA or a health savings account. That's generally where people put money in from their paycheck. It comes out of their paycheck, pre-taxed, and it grows tax-free, and you can leave it in there for a medical expense down the road, or you can take it out anytime you want for a qualified expense. There could be some money there to look into. Some people we've talked to didn't even realize they had one. So it's something to look at. Brokerage accounts, if you have an account at, a brokerage company like a Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, one of those places, then there could be some ability to pull money from there on a more friendly tax basis. And then hopefully people have some type of emergency savings. Not everybody does, and a lot of patients we work with don't because, it's just expensive area that we live in, and they might be putting money in their 401k, but maybe not so much into an emergency fund. But we want to look at all these different sources to see okay, if we need some money, where's the best place to take this from? And we can help with that. So ways to make things last a little bit longer is, again, those fixed expenses, if you can reduce those where possible, that's ideal. Sometimes on the debt side, we can help you refinance or consolidate certain loans or change those so the payments are less. There are programs for prescriptions available. There's community resources that are available. And some future slides, I think I have some stuff. And if not, it might be from another program, but there's some nonprofits that are around that can actually give you money for things like paying your rent for a month or two if you qualify. So again, there is help out there. And in Massachusetts, there's all kinds of assistance programs. There's Mass Health. People might be familiar with that. You can get health insurance that's either lower cost or could be free. The Health Safety Net, Prescription Advantage can help with prescriptions. But your resource specialist at Dana-Farber and your social worker are really a great resource for some of these programs. So definitely start there. And there's other stuff that's always popping up that we come across that's really good. You know, energy and utilities. Hopefully, we're getting past the heating season, but there is help for, like, heat, electricity, and things like that. They can't shut your utilities off, if you're seriously ill. So we can help make sure that doesn't happen. But this heat program, which is 800 number, there's some websites that are coming a little bit later. And these slides will be available, as Sierra pointed out, on the Dana-Farber site. So you can access this later. And food, there's no shortage of places in Massachusetts. We're pretty lucky. There's Project Bread, there's local food banks. I'm in Newton here in my office. There's one that building right across the street, actually. SNAP, which is food stamps, that program's still around. So these are designed to help people get through a period of time. So definitely take advantage of them. They're there. And then there's the RAFT program. So this is, we get a lot of questions sometimes from people that are just really struggling with their housing. They lost their housing in the worst case scenario. We try to help them do that, but it's really tricky. But definitely, if you're struggling at all with like housing or rent, there are resources for that too that we can help you with. And getting back to that for a second, so if you're renting, we find it's a good idea to let your landlord or landlady or whatever know what's going on, because if they have a heads up that, like, what, I'm in treatment and I might be late with the rent or I might miss a month. We had one landlord that was really, great guy. He, let the person stay there for 2 months. He said, like, just forget the next 2 months in rent, just get well. And if you get it down the road, don't worry, we'll figure out a way to pay that back, or don't worry about it. So not every landlord can do that or is willing to do that, but it doesn't hurt to ask and let them know what's going on. Same with the mortgage company. If you miss payments, that's just not good. You need to kind of put it on record of what's going on. So I mentioned the SSDI program, the Social Security Disability. It's tricky to get approved the first time. Usually you don't, unless it's something really severe, because their definition of disability is much more strict than an employer or a personal disability policy that someone might have. But definitely check out. Some people don't even know that they have a disability policy through work, because, again, it comes out of their paycheck and they don't really notice it. And a few people have a private policy. This is where they bought that on their own. Usually more physicians and people like that have those than regular people that are working just at a job. But it's good to know. And then, paying medical bills. You don't want to ignore these because they're not going to go away, but definitely talk to the hospital about if you're struggling with paying. There's all kinds of programs there at Dana-Farber and the affiliates. But again, don't ignore them. Best to always, just look at this stuff. It's easy just to put all this stuff in a pile and not look at it, but it's not ideal. But working with one of the coaches, they can help you get organized and take care of this. So back to the savings, if you have money in a savings account, that's easy. There's no penalties or whatever. Even if you have a CD, if you take money out, you lose a little bit of interest, but it's not a big deal. But anything that's from like a retirement account can trigger taxes. There can be penalties of 10%. And it can also reduce that future security of having a retirement plan when you retire. So you definitely want to look at this really carefully before you take money out. If you are working and going back to work, a lot of retirement plans have a loan provision where you can borrow money and you pay it back through your paycheck. So that can be an option as well, where there aren't any penalties. But again, we want to talk to a professional before you make any of those moves. So here's just a little chart on some possible income sources on the left. There's the sick leave, there's short and long-term disability, the Social Security disability, which again is tough to get approved for, but it's there if you paid into the system. Regular savings and retirement accounts, and kind of like where to kind of go to get that. Generally, anything work-related, I would start with the HR department, see if they can help you. If you are going to apply for Social Security disability, if you feel like that's something that you need to do, generally sooner than later makes sense. When in doubt, fill it out. Fill these forms out and get started. You can always withdraw it, but you don't want to wait 6 months if you think that you're going to need it, because it's just going to extend the time of actually getting it going. But that's done through ss.gov. And again, we've got somebody that can help with some of that. So you're not alone. And this is just those sites I mentioned before, Snap and Help. These are just the actual websites if you want to go on instead of calling. So there's just some URLs here that you can look at. Most of these are Massachusetts specific. The PAN Foundation and Family Reach. Family Reach is based in Boston, but let's say you just can't pay your rent. Well, they might be able to help you pay a month's rent, for an example. There's also some other grants. We've got one that used to be called the SAM Fund, but it's called something else now, that was specific to like a college student. So they would, kind of apply for this grant if they were in school and they were sick. So there's things out there. You just need to know where to look, and we can help you find those. Again, you don't have to do it alone. There's your social workers, your resource specialists, there's counselors, there's the nonprofits, and again, the financial planners that have been trained in our program through the pro bono coaching program. We're here to help. So just raise your hand. Okay, questions? Yeah, we're here to help. So again, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. You can reach out to me. I think this next slide is me. Yep. So this is me. I'm Rick Fingerman. That's my email and my phone number. Ideally, it's best to email me because my phone, it's on silent during the day and it looks like spam anyway. So I generally can't pick it up, even if I could. So best to email me first. We can set up a time to talk.
Thank you so much, Rick, for
Okay.
that great presentation, as always. As I mentioned earlier to everybody on the call, the session was recorded and it will be posted on our Blum YouTube playlist and our Blum Digital Resource Center. So we are all set, Rick. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm here to help.